Americans currently owe $1.28 trillion on their credit cards. That is the highest number recorded by the Federal Reserve since it began tracking this data in 1999. Banks, card companies, and the financial media consistently frame this industry as a simple payment convenience service. The reality is that credit cards are one of the most highly profitable debt businesses ever invented, and the model runs directly on the financial stress of ordinary people. Right now, the average credit card carries an annual percentage. The bank's actual cost to borrow that money is about 6%. That leaves a massive 15 percentage point gap, a gap made of pure profit margin. To understand the true weight of that margin, we have to look past the top-line national number and examine individual households. Today, the average American family carries over $11,000 in credit card debt. Nearly half of all cardholders in the country are currently carrying a balance they cannot clear at the end of the month. They are no longer using their cards as a payment method. They are using them as high-interest 21% loans. This split-screen graphic shows the math of making only the minimum payment on a $7,000 balance at that average 21% rate. Over 11 years, you will pay over $6,000 in interest alone, essentially paying for original purchases twice. If you are carrying a month-to-month balance, you are not the bank's customer. You are their most lucrative product. This trillion-dollar debt pile did not happen by accident. The credit card industry is a highly engineered system, deliberately calibrated at every level to maximize the money it extracts from consumers. This flowchart breaks down exactly how your 21% APR is constructed. The first layer is the interest architecture. It starts with the baseline Federal Reserve rate at 6%, steps up slightly to the prime rate, and then the bank adds a massive discretionary margin of 12 to 13% directly on top. When the Federal Reserve raised rates, your APR went up immediately. But when the Fed cuts rates, the banks do not pass the savings down. Notice how the base rate shrinks, but the bank's profit margin expands downward to fill the gap. That keeps your total rate exactly the same, and their profit margin hits an all-time high. The second layer of extraction is the minimum payment. The formula used to calculate your minimum due is mathematically calibrated to just barely cover the monthly interest generated by your balance. The principal stays mostly intact, ensuring the bank collects interest indefinitely. The third layer is reward psychology. The programs offering you free cash back and travel miles are actually heavily subsidized by higher APRs on your balance and by inflated merchant fees that retailers pass back to all consumers through higher prices. Behavioral research shows us exactly how these programs function. The reward mechanism mimics the dopamine loop of gambling. Consumers chasing points and cash back end up spending up to 18% more than they otherwise would. The bank is not rewarding your brand loyalty. They are using psychological incentives to train and manipulate your spending behavior. When we zoom out, the macroeconomic data reveals a troubling historical parallel. Today, credit card delinquency rates are climbing in a pattern closely resembling the debt-fueled economy of 2007. This graph plots the share of credit card balances that are 90 days past due. The modern curve has hit 12.4%. Perfectly mirroring the upward trajectory we saw in the immediate aftermath of the last major recession. But the current debt bubble is different from 2008 in one vital way. Consumers are not primarily over-leveraging on mortgages or luxury goods. Working-class and middle-class Americans are financing basic daily survival, buying their weekly groceries, filling up with gas, and paying utility bills all on borrowed money. When ordinary people must borrow 21% interest money just to cover food, the standard stock market indicators are masking a deep, fragile underlying economic reality. Translate these massive macroeconomic numbers into an individual life, and the damage becomes clear. Carrying the average balance costs a consumer roughly $1,300 a year, entirely in invisible interest charges. The variable APR system mathematically penalizes financial instability. If you have fair or poor credit, your rate could easily be 29 or 33%. The system extracts the most money from the people who can least afford it. You can bypass this system using 4 concrete mathematical strategies. Move number 1 is the balance transfer. By moving your high-interest balance to a promotional card charging 0% interest for 12 to 21 months, every single dollar you pay goes directly toward clearing the principal. Move 2 is simply making a phone call. Studies show that 76% of cardholders who call their issuing bank to negotiate a lower APR actually receive one. That one action can save you hundreds of dollars a year. Move 3 is abandoning the minimum payment. This chart clearly shows the difference. Paying only the minimum drags the timeline out for 11 painful years, but switching to a fixed monthly payment crushes the exact same debt in just 3 years. Move 4 is automating full statement balance payments. Once your past debt is cleared, paying the full statement balance every month allows you to use the bank's money for 30 days entirely for free. Internally, card companies refer to customers who pay zero interest as deadbeats. In this system, that term is a financial badge of honor. It means you are entirely immune to their extraction. Current record debt levels reflect a structural shift where